This 1964 sovereign had a very tough life in the late 90s, being embedded in a ring that spent its life on the finger of a quite undignified teenager. Unfortunately, that teenager was me. The coin has made it through unscathed. Whether or not my dignity did is a whole other matter. Right now, it's sitting in front of me, worth roughly about $1,200 US, give or take. Before I get a little bit more into that slightly embarrassing story of where this coin originally sat and how I obtained it, let's just cover what it actually is. The gold sovereign is obviously one of the most storied coins on planet Earth. Its history stretches back to 1489 during the reign of Henry VII. The coin has been minted on and off over 500 years, and at the height of the British Empire, it circulated as real currency across the globe. Obviously, this is a 1964 sovereign, therefore it has a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, God rest her soul, and I believe this one was minted in the Royal Mint in London. 4 years after this particular coin was minted, I believe they moved to Wales, where the mint still operates today. On the reverse is the classic St. George on horseback slaying a dragon, a design that was done by the Italian sculptor Benedetto Pistrucci in 1817. Now, I probably just butchered that name, so correct me in the comments. Anyway, that design has appeared on sovereigns almost unchanged for roughly 200 years now. And if that doesn't tell you something about the staying power and the classic design of this coin, nothing will. Now, the important part, obviously, is the gold content. A sovereign weighs 7.98 grams and contains 7.32 grams of pure gold. That means it's 22 karat gold, so if you're into 24 karat gold, this is probably not the coin to stack for you. But there is no other coin I can think of in the gold stacking community that has such a storied history. The nice thing about it being 22 karat gold is even though this coin has been used and abused since 1964, it's still in relatively good shape. Had a 24 karat gold coin been treated in the same way, it would not look anywhere near as good as this. I'm pretty sure I received this coin back in '99 after bugging my dad that I wanted a large gold ring. Don't judge me, this is back when the Spice Girls were all the rage. Ali G, yes, it is a joke, but it's a joke for a reason. People actually liked dressing up like that, especially stupid teenagers like I was. So the Adidas tracksuit, too much gel in my hair, chunky gold rings on my fingers, and maybe the occasional cigarette that wasn't made of tobacco. Now, obviously, I grew out of my little chavvy phase, and now I hold on to a rather nice coin that started my whole gold stacking, let's call it a little hobby. This particular coin was minted in 1964, as I already said earlier, and that's not a particularly rare year. The Royal Mint was producing them in decent volume back in those days. The coin has no additional value. Well, personally, to me, it has more value, but it has no more value than any other sovereign. So yes, the tracksuit disappeared. The thick slabs of gel in my hair disappeared. Thankfully, the Spice Girls disappeared. And people still dress up like Ali G, unfortunately. However, one thing that also stayed around was this coin in my collection. Now, obviously, there's no financial advice on this channel. I just talk about stuff that I've collected. But I believe when my dad purchased this coin, it probably would have cost him the equivalent of maybe 60 to 70 US dollars. Which to me, back when I was 15, seemed like a very expensive present. The thing that everybody that collects gold wants to hear is that coin is now worth roughly $1,200. That's quite the increase. To me though, I guess the value of the coin is almost irrelevant to some degree, because this is something that I will own until the day I die. It's the only present that I think I can remember from being a child that I still own today. Don't get me wrong, it didn't bring me as much joy as the PlayStation 1 or potentially a bicycle where I could build ramps with my little brothers and fall off them and have to go into my mother and had some plasters put on some very bruised and grazed knees. But it is something that I will hold on to until the day that I'm dead, unless I absolutely must cash in the coin. Now, the increase from $60 to $1,200 is extreme if you think about it. But there's one thing that I can say about owning gold and this coin is that, yes, today maybe it's worth $1,200. Tomorrow, perhaps, very unlikely, but perhaps it could be worth $600. But the one thing that's almost guaranteed is that at some point in the future, maybe not in my lifetime, but at some point in the future, this coin will be worth $10,000. A $60 to $1,200 increase, $10,000 is guaranteed. Given a long enough runway, be it gold, whatever, will eventually reach such a price. The reason I think it's almost a certainty is, history tells us that the long game always goes up in price. And we do have a defined supply of gold in the ground on Earth. So gold is going to, again over time, become a rarer and rarer commodity. Whether I'm alive to see it or not, that's a whole different story. Now, when I look at this coin, it does make me wish that I could go back and speak to my 15-year-old self to fix those horrible fashion choices, and to also tell myself, maybe pick up a sovereign coin or a 1 ounce gold coin when you have some disposable income, just over time. Don't wait 20 years like I did until you start buying into gold again. The first one was a gift, but I should have made the second one a quicker decision. And it's all well and good saying that hindsight is a great thing. I should have planted this tree 20 years ago. Great. But if you don't start planting the trees today, you'll be saying the same thing in another 20 years down the road. So I think that's enough for the first video. I would appreciate it if you dropped a comment in the comment section below to let me know how I could improve these videos. And I'm going to start working on the second one right now, perhaps comparing the sovereign against a Britannia, for example. But until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.